All right, YouTube. So we're here today. This is a video that I'm making mostly for reference to myself in the future, because I don't normally do stairs often. If I get another stair project after this one is completed, I want something I can go back on to say, hey, you know, this is how I do stairs. You know, keep on doing it this way. You know, in case I forget in the future, I'm not relearning everything all over again. So I'm going to make a video about it. I'm also making it because a lot of people trying to do this don't really know how to do it. Matco Metalworks, I believe, is his channel name. Don't quote me on that. I believe it's Matco Metalworks. He made a pretty good video about how to make stair stringers. That's what these are. He left out some things that a lot of people were asking, and he never really commented on how to do it. But if you pay attention to his first video, I believe it was the first part of that, I feel like I know why he didn't get to how to do it. It's because he has a template, and he, like you see in the background, he has a template for how to put the lines of where the brackets go. If you're paying attention, after, like, you know, the first one you do and it comes out good, you know, make another one. If that comes out good, make a template for it. All of the rest will be faster. The way I'm doing it with these things is not the quickest, but I don't have a template, nor do I do this enough to really feel the need for a template. I also don't really have a shop, so everything I do is different. So the way I do it is the first one I made, I used this. I didn't have these, I used this, and got my angles for everything, and it came out all jacked up. So don't do it that way. Get yourself two framing squares, rafter squares, I guess you call them, I don't know. You get the little brass things for the stair squares, I guess. I don't know what they call them. They sell them at Home Depot and Lowe's and stuff. The little brass things that go on your framing square. So once you get that, well, the first one you do to get these set up, it's kind of a pain in the dick. Once it's on there though, the rest you can fly through. I can do these in about 5 minutes now, whereas before it took me like 2 hours when I was using this. So, yeah, so this is going to be a video about how to make lines to put the brackets on your stair stringers. So, the first thing you want to do is find out the length from the top of your stringer, or the top of wherever your landing is on the top, and then the bottom over here. Find out the distance when this is set up at the position it's going to be at, the distance between your floor and where you're trying to go. That's going to help you determine the spacing of everything. The city codes in America, stairs are supposed to be 7 inches apart, but if you pay attention closely to how I am doing them, they are slightly more than 7 inches. The reason for that is because of the customer. I mean, it's close, so it doesn't matter. Even though these may be more than 7 inches spaced out, they are a drastic improvement from the stairs that are already there. So that's why I'm doing things the way I'm doing them. So let's get into it here. And the first thing you want to do is, these are already cut. So I'm going to show you, roughly like right here, how you get your first cuts. So what I do is I get this thing now, and like say I made this too long and I got to shorten it up. This side here, the way I set this square up is that's going to be, if I set this here like that, this is going to be 40 degrees from this. So what I would do is draw a line. I want to make this dotted so that way I know this is not a line to follow when I actually set up this whole stringer. This is just for reference. So that would be my first line. My next line would be right here at 9.5 inches on right here. And what that is going to be a mark. I'm going to set that to the side here and get this one so the little brass things are not in the way. And we're going to line that up. And again, this is going to be a dotted line here. Boom. This is at 40 degrees, this is at 50 degrees, this line here. That would be the very top portion of this. This line is 1.5 inches long. That's how I was able to figure out where to put that, because this is 1.5 inches wide. So now what I would do, what I already did on these, is take my grinder, since I have a plasma, but setting it up is way more time consuming in my operation, because I don't have a shop and it's not set up all the time. So, I get my grinder and I'll grind this off, I'll grind this line, then I'll grind this line, and bam, that's how you get something that looks like this up here. I'll get the camera here to show you. So this line here is going to look like that when you're done. This line is 40 degrees. This line is 50 degrees from that, So now when this is up in the air, this is going to be level with the ground, and this is going to be at a straight 90 degrees with the ground. And then that puts this on a 40 degree pitch, if that makes any sense. So if you saw Matco Metalworks video, I think in his part 1 maybe, it shows how to cap the ends. Watch his video to learn how to do that. Watching me, it's not going to be the greatest. So, all right, so now that's how you set up your top. The bottom is going to be pretty much the same ordeal, but it's going to be a little bit different. What you're going to do is you're going to take your square and it's going to sit the same exact way as it did on the top. So this is going to be a really short piece here. You got like a 1 foot stringer there. That'll be good enough for this demonstration. What I do is, the way I set up this square is this point here sits flush with the bottom of the stringer. So I make all my lines 6 1/4 inches on the bottom. So actually what you do is after you cut this, you want to measure from your tip, which would be here, to where you gotta, like if you do a squared plus b squared equals c squared, however long your hypotenuse is, that's where you want to make your mark. So let's say, you know, we're going to be about 20, we're going to make a 2-foot stringer here. So we're going to go, bam, here we go. So I made my dot. Now I get this square, set it like that, and I make a line across the entire section. The dotted lines are for this demonstration. Since I'm doing the demonstration on a real piece here, I'm not going to get confused. So now what I do is I set the square in the same orientation as the top. I put my point at the bottom of this, and now I have to make sure this line sits at 6 1/4 inches on this square here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to draw another line, which would be solid if I was actually going to cut it, but it is dotted on this one. Then we move our square down and make a line from where these two intersect, which is going to be right about here, and then we're going to draw another line there. Then we're going to cut this. I'll move the camera here. So that's what we're looking at. Again, these would be solid if I was actually cutting it. What you would do here is this is how your bottom's going to look. What I do is I start from the middle and cut out this way, and then cut up this way, and I try and leave as little waste as possible, but I still keep everything connected. That way if I mess up, I can weld everything back together pretty easily, or if I do what I did with these, I can make another cut and save about 3 inches of metal. So again, this is your bottom, which is going to look like that when it comes out. This is 6 1/4 inches, and this is like 7 1/2 or something. The way mine are. So now, the important part is about to get underway here. You can mess them up a little bit and still get everything to come out okay. Now here's where you got the pretty dead on. So this stringer here, I believe, is like 83 7/8 inches long from that point there to this point right here. Boom, boom. That's how long this is, 83 7/8. So I'm gonna make all my stairs spaced out to 8 and I believe 1/8 or 1/4. I could do it either or. I believe I'm gonna make them all roughly 8 1/4. Yeah, roughly 8 1/4 inches, or 3/16 inches. Again, doing this to code, you want everything to be 7 inches. This ain't up to code per se. So now what we do is we go to the top of our stairway, which is here. we're going to grab this guy, our speed square, and we're going to set it on this little small cutout, and we're going to mark our first mark here. We know that the stairs I'm using are 1 inch high. So we're going to make our first mark where the top of the bracket is going to sit, which is going to be 9 1/8 inches. Actually, we said we're going to be 3/16 inches. So, boom, 9 3/16 inches is where we make our first mark. Then we're going to move our square and sit it like this. That way we can get a straight line all the way across. Boom. That's where our first bracket is going to sit. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. 9 3/16. Boom. Make a line. Turn this over. Boom. Make a line. Now, what you're going to do is, I already know how I like mine. Mine are going to have metal stairs with metal grates on them. So I put all mine 1 inch away from the top. What that means is it's easier to demonstrate once it's all done. So I'm going to do that. But I'm going to take my square and I'm going to find where, if I set this marker, it's going to be 1 inch away from the edge, which happens to be sitting right here. So we're going to draw a 1 inch line away from the top all the way down the stringer. Boom. That one's done. We're going to move this stuff over here for a second. We're going to draw a line all the way down this one. Oops, messed up there. Boom. Boom. Now we've got a line 1 inch away from the top of our stair stringer. Now we're going to set everything over here, and we're going to work on one at a time. So again, we're going to set this in the same orientation that we made our cuts in. And for this one, the little thing here with all the holes is going to sit towards our wall side, which is going to be like that. I already made all these. I already put the brass ones on, but if you don't have them on, what you're going to do is you're going to take this guy. If this stair stringer sits at 40 degrees, it means the stairs. This one sits at 50. So you take your little 50. Find your 50 on this, the 45, 50. You set this boot right there at 90. Then turn it until you get to your 50. Your 50 will be in line with the bottom of the stair stringer. Then you draw a line here. Boom. Then you take your square. And you set it up the way you want it. for this one, I like my point to be at the bottom. And then I would clip little brass things on here. Again, this is a pain in the dick the first time you do it. That's why it's good to have a few different squares around. So now we got our already set up square here. And we know we want these brackets to sit 8 3/16 inches apart. So we set this here. We want to find our 8 3/16 inches, and we're going to set that. We're going to set our square right on the line, so that when we draw our line, our next line, it is going to be exactly 8 3/16 inches below this line. Boom. Now we're going to keep on moving. Once you get the rhythm going, this goes by pretty quick. I can do this in about 5 minutes. Once I get everything going, it takes me about 5 minutes to do these when I'm not trying to make a video of it. Boom. All right, so now we got all our lines made. We're gonna count them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's how many stairs we're gonna have. Now, what we need to do is set that guy to the side, pick up this guy, and set this right flush with where the bottom is gonna be. Measure up to the first line you drew here and find out where that sits. And we are at 6 and 7/6, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we are at roughly 6 and 11/12. I don't know why they make framing squares like that, but they do. One side is an 1/8, the other side is in 12. It's weird. But 6 and 11/12. So that way, when our stair is on here, it's going to be 7 and 11/12, roughly. So that's good enough for what we're doing. The top stair is going to be our 8 3/16. Our bottom stair is going to be 7 and 11/16, or 11/12, I should say. It's good. If you're going to mess up on one of the stairs, you want your distance all to be the same. If you're going to mess up a distance on any of them, I make sure it is between the ground and the first stair. The reason for that is because you're not going to notice it when you're climbing the stairs. You want this to be less than the distance of your normal spacing. If you have it more than, you're going to notice it. It's going to be weird. The first one I did of these was completely jacked up. It sat at like 11 inches. I couldn't figure it out until I did my next one. Then I measured some other ones, and that's how I found out that these are more than 7 inches to get the 6 stairs in here. I put 6 stairs, 7 inches, like you're supposed to. And I couldn't figure out why my bottom stair was messed up. So that's why, because my spacing was wrong. There was supposed to be 7 stairs if I kept my spacing at 7 inches. There's not, there is 6. That's why our spacing is like this. We're just matching all the other hundreds of stairs in this complex here. That's why I'm not doing it up to code. So, yeah. Now, we're still not done yet. We have to find out, we got our rise on here. Now we have to figure out our run. So, a lot of people come up with some complex formulas and shit. I'm telling you, you don't need to do that. That's what this line here is for. Where we put this line here, 1 inch away from the top of this, it's there for a reason, and this is it. This bracket here, this is an old bracket. This is why we're replacing them, because these are falling apart. It's going to sit, the top of this will be on the lines that we drew, and this corner will be right here at that 1 inch marker, like that. So to make things easier, I get rid of this, clean this up, because now it's all dirty and whatnot. Set this to the side, and grab our little brass guy again. Get the little brass guy going. You're not worried about measurements here. What you're doing is you go to the corner of the lines you made in the 1 inch marker, and you draw a line down to your next stair. Bam. All right, so that line, the bottom of it can be completely jacked up. The only thing you're worried about is the first 3 inches. The reason for that is that's just a reference guide to put your bracket in the right way. Now, since I already cut the bottom off, these last two I have to do with this blue guy here. Bam, just like that, we're done. Marking, that is. I still have to do this other one here, but trying to make this video not 30 minutes, so it probably already is. We're gonna set up some angle irons here, and I'll show you what we got going on. All right, so I'll grab some angle irons here. These are not what we use for the stair brackets. They're just a visual reference. What these are is runners for those trailer ramps here. So they're not cut to the right length. For these stairs here, what we normally use is a 3 inch by 3/16 angle iron that's cut to 10.5 inches long. These ones are like 14.5 because they're trailer ramps. They're not stairs. They're not for our stairs here. So we're gonna set these here. I'll set a few of them on here and leave the rest of them off so you guys can see what's going on here. So again, these are for visual reference only. They're not the actual brackets we're gonna put on here. So this is our top, this is gonna sit flush with the landing. That's the way I do these. Some people do them different. That's how I do them. So I'm gonna put a cap on here that's gonna stick out like 6 inches. And then once I get it on the landing and get everything installed, I'm gonna cut that cap flush. So what's going on here is we got the 1 inch marker here. That's 1 inch from this. These were the lines we drew that were spaced at 8 and 3/16 inches apart. And then these are the lines that we drew at the very end, just to get a reference of where to put these things. So that's what it looks like. That line is where I sit the top of my bracket, and then this line is where I set the back of the bracket. That way they're all the same, all the way going down until we get to our end. And then the spacing from here to here is slightly less than the normal spacing I have throughout the rest of the stringer here. If you did everything right, this line here should be parallel with this one. This one is parallel with this one. This is a 90-degree angle, and this guy is parallel with this one. This guy and this guy are parallel with all your stair brackets. It gets complicated, it can get complicated, but it's pretty simple. The worst thing you can do is overthink these. The reason why I did 1 inch from here to the tip of the bracket is because I'm doing metal grates, and it just looks better this way. If you're doing concrete stairs, you got to figure out your own spacing. It's probably going to look something similar to this. This was a bracket from when they had the concrete stairs on. And it sits about like 3 inches away. Yeah, it's about like 3 1/4 inches you would draw your line. Again, that's because the concrete stairs are like 4 inches thick versus mine, which are 1 inch thick. That's why it's done that way. So that's kind of the part that Matco Metalworks left out. It's probably the most important part of how to do these. And it can get really confusing. So I tried to make it simple by using them little brass things. I got that idea from the people that do wooden stairs, and I just adapted it to the metal ones. The simplest way is like Matco does and just has a template. All he has to do is slap some wood on there, make sure it's all in a line, and trace the wood. But other people that aren't set up to his level yet, you know, this is how you got to do it. Yeah. So I don't know what else to say other than if this helped you, just subscribe to the channel or whatnot. If not, tell me why I'm wrong. You know, I'm open to criticism. But again, you know, you can do, there's 1,000 ways to do these. This is just how I do it, and this is a visual reference to me from me, so that I know in the future, if I have to do stairs again, this is the way I do it. Yeah. So, if it doesn't help you, don't do it this way, find your own way. That's how I do it. See ya. All right, YouTube, before we go real quick, I just wanted to point out that Backhoe Metalworks, when he puts all his brackets on and tacks them together, when he welds them out, he clamps his to some heavy I-beams or whatever. If you don't have that and you're using little flimsy sawhorses like this, or you don't even have these, what you can do is take your channel iron back to back like this. The angles are going to be on this side, and then on this side, and you tack weld this together like that. It's going to look like that on the end of it, and then you just tack it in the middle, and then on the ends, flip it over, tack it in the middle and on the ends, and then that'll keep it from warping as bad. What I do is I'll weld one side of one of the brackets on one side, then do another one down there, and then I'll flip it over and do one, flip it over, one, flip it over, and just keep doing that. Space them out, and that'll keep it from warping too much. It'll still warp a little bit, but it will be workable. I do this with a stick welder, usually on site.